troops deployed. Watch your steps. I feel power lurking within. Thank you. Can anyone call it out? Request backup.
that runs on the server and powers the front end. That again includes database, application logic, and APIs. Some heavy websites only need a front end. But if a website interacts with a database or involves a lot of dynamic content, then there needs to be a back-end server away from the user's device to do some processing before sending that data back to the user. Full stack development is just a combination of front-end and back-end development. By the end of this course, you'll have a better understanding of front-end and back-end development. Now it's time for you to start learning how to use HTML and CSS. Tony will teach this section, and before I pass it over to him, I want to thank Replit for giving freephocamp.org a grant to make this course possible. We'll do all development using Replit, which allows you to write HTML, CSS, and JavaScript all in your web browser.
Welcome to this section of this course. In this section, I'm going to be teaching you everything get started with building your own web pages using HTML. Today, I'm teaching you one HTML is why we use HTML and how you can build web pages using HTML. Now, in this course, we're going to be using web pages for our coding. I'm going to show you how to set that up and how to do everything all from there. So the first thing to do is to go to web.com. So once you web.com, you're going to have to create an account and log in. So once you log into web.com, it's going to bring you to this dashboard right here. And once you enter that, you're just going to come to this corner right here and click on this green button, or you can go to the top right corner and click on the new button. So what I'm just going to do is to click on create, and it's going to ask you to choose a language of this. So for this section of this tutorial, we're going to be using this HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. For worry about CSS and JavaScript for now, we're just only going to be using the HTML part. So let's name this HTML. We're going to create a new web page. So that is going to take a few seconds to create all of that for us. And once that is created, I'm going to show you what this is. So as you can see, it's created this for us with like a boilerplate of code that automatically comes with this particular record that we created. So what I'm just going to do is to quickly show you around Replit what it does and how we're going to use it. So on this corner you can see that it shows all the files that we created. So because we chose HTML, CSS and JavaScript, we created 3 files for us. One is for HTML, one is for CSS and one is for JavaScript. But as I said, for now I'm going to do HTML. So I'm going to close that just to make sure that we have enough space. And in here it shows the code base. So this is basically where we're going to be doing the main coding, like our code editor. And on this right side it shows the output of whatever we are coding in here. So now that we have that out of the way, I want to quickly talk to you about HTML. So before we actually go into coding, I'm going to introduce you to what HTML is and why we use it. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So it's basically a standard markup language used for creating websites and web pages. So HTML describes how the structure of a website or a web page is going to be. So any website you will see on the web or any web page you see on the web, there is some HTML coding that has been done to do that. So HTML basically consists of different elements to make it code. So for example, by coming to this code, you can see that we have some hello world text being printed, and if you come into the code, you can see that hello world text is right here. So this hello world text is under this element's name body. So don't worry about what all of this means for now. We will go through all of that, but just know that HTML comprises of different elements. And now I'm going to talk to you about what all these elements. Right here, let's say I want to have this. Now the next thing I want to do is to have a width for it. So I'm going to have width, and let me say the width is 100%. Now when I run this and say that the width is 100%, you're going to see that it extends all the way to the end of a particular area, to a particular screen. So what I want to do now, as you can see, it looks weird, and the reason why it looks weird is because each one has its own border. Like this has a square around it, this has a rectangle around it. rectangle. I just want all of this to collapse into one line. So all of this should just be one line and not double lines on that. So what for me to do is what I'm going to do to say border. I can see border collapse. So once I collapse this and I run it, then you're going to see that everything is basically one line, which is very good, and this is what we want. So that is step in actually designing this table. So we can make this, let's say we want this to be 50%. So that is 50%. So that is good, that is what we want. And now we can talk more about the actual size of this particular table. For example, I can say I want let's say I just want only this table to have a width. So what I can do now is I can come down and say CH with a whole height. I'm going to say 50 pieces. And if I run this, you're going to see that the height of TH is now more than broader. So I can specify all of this by just uniquely using that as a selection like TH, and I say height, and I give it a value of 50. So it is that easy to do, and that's straightforward. And the next thing I can do is actually talk about the alignment of this particular word. Like for example, I can only see the center just to make the edges. The edging has to be center, or for the data I want it to be center or the right or wherever. What I just need to do is I need to just say TE, because these are the data, right? So I'm going to say TE. I'm going to say text align. If I say right, I'm going to see that all the text aligned to the right side of that particular table. But for it to look good, I'm going to say center. And once I say center, you're going to see that aligns perfectly. So I can also, change this TH to align on the left, so everything can align on the left. So let's say I want this to be the left, I can just, copy this particular one and come into TH and put that in the left. So you're going to see now that every single thing is in the left. Now that is another way of basically doing that. Now let's say I want there to be spacing between like every one of these. Like as you can see, this is quite congested. What I can just do instead of having like increasing the width, I can add a padding to it. So I can say, I just get rid of this actually, and I can say TH and TD should have a padding of let me say 10 here. I'm going to get rid of this height. And if I run this, you're now going to see that they all have like an equal amount of space to it. So that's basically what that does, right? And that is straightforward because it makes the table actually look very good, and that is literally what we want. So what we can just do now is to also add some something that we can over. So for example, if let's say I want to be able to over this particular line, right? What I need to do is to come here and say table row. And what I mean by over is that when I bring my mouse on this particular part, I want, let's say, it should show a particular color, so it can, or it should highlight that particular row, so it shows that I am over that. So that all of this belongs to table row. So what I'm just going to do is to say tr, which is table row. I'm going to use something different this time. I'm going to say column over. Now when I use column over, whatever I do here is only going to ask me to over my mouse on top of that particular element that is selected. So what this means now is that if I say I want the background color of this TR to be, let's say, blue. Now this is only going to happen, it's only going to be true, only going to happen when my mouse is on it. Now let me run this and show you what that is going to do. So now when you see my mouse is on it, you can see that the background color changes to blue. Now this is only true when my mouse is over it. So that is a very big one also, because it allows you to easily look at or easily highlight what you want to do on a table. So this is basically basic way or a simple way of designing tables using CSS. Now we're going to be looking at the display property in CSS. Now what this display property does is that it allows us to display a particular element, or maybe even hide the element, or even remove the element from the web page, but the code is still present. For example, I can get rid of this table and say display shouldn't show, or I can hide it, or I can do whatever I want. And let me show you why. And for example, if I come into table right here and I say display should be none, if I run this, you're going to see that everything right here is not going to show anymore. And the reason why this doesn't show is just because we've said display should be none. Now, there are also many other things I can do, like I can set visibility to be hidden. So if I say visibility should be hidden, now instead of this not displaying, it also doesn't display, but it is still right there. Now what I mean by it is still right there is, if I come in here and let's say I have an H1 tag and I say I, now if I run this, you're gonna see that this particular H1 tag starts from here. And the reason why the H1 tag starts from here and not here is because we set the visibility of that table to be none. That means it is still present here, but it's not shown. That is why H1 tag starts from here. But if I set display to be none, display, if I set it to be none, this basically means remove that particular one from, remove that particular table or whatever element from this particular web page. So as you can now see, I start from the top. So that's the major difference between displaying none and visibility hidden. None allows us to remove that element entirely from the web page. Visibility still lets the element be present in the web page but not show. Now we're going to talk about combinators and CSS. Now, a combinator is something that basically explains, like, or shows you the relationship between different selectors. Now, there are different combinators, and I'm going to explain everything right now. So, I want to get rid of all of this. I'm going to get rid of all of that, and also get rid of the whole table. Now, let's say, for example, we have this H1 tag, and in this H1 tag, we now have a, let me just say I, and within this H1 tag, let's say I have another B tag that says A. So this B is inside this H1 tag. Now what I can just do is to say I'm going to use something called the descendant selector. So if I now say H1 and I leave a space and say B, what this is going to do is that it's going to select all the B elements inside an H1 tag, and whatever we do here is going to be done to that. So if I say color should be red, now you're going to see that this A is going to be red. Now as you can see, A is red. Now what this is a descendant selector, which means that we select all the elements that are inside each element. So let me select all the B elements that are inside H1. Now if I create another B element, let's say I just create another one like that. If I run this, because that B element is still there, you can see that it says that. And imagine I have a P element, right? And inside that P element, and I have a B element that says what's up. And once I run it, because B element is still under this H1 element, right? It's still a descendant of it, it's still gonna affect it and it's gonna be red. But now if we use a child selector, it's gonna be different. So what we just now was a descendant selector, but what we're going to talk about now is a child selector. Now if I say H1 greater than B, this means that it's going to select all the elements that is a children or that is a child, all the B elements that is a child of H1. So if I run it, you're going to see one difference, and I'm going to explain why. You can now see that this is no more red, this is black. Now the reason why is because if I come in here, it's looking for only the B elements that are children of H1. Even though this B element inside this P, and let me just make this like this so you can see it better. Even though this B element that is within this P is still under this H1, but because it is not a direct child of this H1, it's not going to be seen as a child selector. So if I have, let's say I have one B outside this B, after it, that B is going to be, that B element is going to be read, as you can see. But because this B is not a child of H1, it is a child of P, and P is a child of H1, that's why this is still black. Now that's the main difference between a child selector and a dependent and a descendant selector. Now the next one is an adjacent sibling selector. Now this just basically selects, if I'm going to use plus to note this, but this selects all the adjacent B after an H1. If I run this, you're going to see that none of it is red. Now the reason is because all of these are children of B, but they are not really after B. So if I come in here now and I paste this, so this is adjacent to H1, it's not a child of it, but it's after H1. Once I run it, you're going to see that this one now is actually red. Now the next one I'm going to talk about is general sibling selector. So this adjacent sibling selector only selects the one that is adjacent to it. So if I come here and paste another B and run it, you're going to see that what shows under here is not going to be, as you can see, it is not red. This is because you only take the adjacent one to it, and this is the only adjacent one to H1. This one is adjacent to B, it's not adjacent to H1. But if I use the general sibling selector, which is this right here, so we're just gonna get that particular one. There's a sign to select the adjacent sibling selector, and it is this particular sign right here. So once I use this sign, this shows that any B that is, that next that like siblings of H1 is going to be red. Now once I run it, you're going to see that this second one is also red. Now this is because this second one also comes as a sibling to this. It's not just only looking for the one adjacent to it, it's looking for the one that is close to H1. So those are the major four CSS components. Now we're going to look into building drop-down menu. So normally where you have like an option where you can like over it, and once you come over it, you see something that drops down like a menu. I'm going to show you how you can build that right now. So this is fairly easy. What we just need to do right here in the HTML body, I'm first of all going to arrange everything in the body, and what I just want to do is that I want to create a div class. I'm going to create a new div class. Talk about what div class were. I'm going to create this div class, and I'm going to just have it like that, and I'm going to give it a class of drop down menu. So I gave it a class of drop down menu. So this is what I actually want to drop down, right? But right here, I want there to be like a button that we are going to hover over, and once our mouse goes on it, we want this drop down menu to show. So here we want to have a button, so there's a button element that just allows us to have a button basically. And right here we can say drop down menu or button. So now we can have a class, and we can make this class say drop down button. So I'm just giving this class so we can identify its data in our CSS. So now that we have this is basically the drop down button. If I run this, let's see what we have. You can see that we just have a drop down button normally. And this div class, we're going to have a basic link. So let's just say A. Let's close it. And let's say menu. Or we can just say list. And then we can say, for now, let's just make it go nowhere, so we can just say link to hashtag. So we have, let's say, 4 different lists. If I run this, you're going to now see that we have that button with 4 different lists, right? But what I want to do now is, first of all, I want this list to not show, and I want to style this button a little bit. Okay, let's take it a step at a time. Let's first style this button a little bit. So what I'm going to do is come into style the CSS, and I'm going to come here and do this. I'm going to get rid of this, and and this drop down button, because I want to style it, I'm going to take that drop down class and I'm going to say dot drop down button. I'm going to give you a background color. And let me say I give you a background color of blue. Now if I run this, it should have a background color of blue, which is good. And I want to give the text color, I want to give the text color white. I want the color of the text should be white. Let's see, good. And what I'm just going to do is to say padding, just so there's going to be a little bit of space. And let me give the padding something like 13 px. So there's about colon right here. And I'm going to run this. So that is good. And what I'm now going to do is to say, let me just try to add some font size. I'm going to say 16 pixels. So I just gave that font size, like this, it will be bigger. And what I can just do now is to say border none. Now the reason why I'm saying border none is because, as you can see on this particular button, it has this border that wraps it around, but I want to remove that, so that's why I say border none. If I run this, we shouldn't see any border no more, which is good. And now I want to say cursor. Now I want the cursor to be pointer. So we're going to run that cursor pointer, right? Good. So that means when we come on this, the cursor is going to change to a pointer. As you can see, that hand icon is showing when we come on this. So we've designed this the way we want it to be. The next thing I'm going to do is to actually now come, and this list, I want it to first be a list, and then I want it to not show until my mouse comes over this particular button. Now let's go ahead and do that. So what we just need to do is to, let me copy this drop down menu first. So yeah, I'm going to say the drop down menu. And first of all, I'm going to say display. Since I don't want to display it, I'm going to say display equals none. But I'm going to leave that blank for now because I want to see the changes I'm making. So let me say the position is absolute. And once you say position absolute, we can then let's run this first of all. So let's make sure this is this. And then let's say we give you a background color. Let's say something like blue, but this time around let's give it light blue. If I run this, you should see that that has the background color of light blue. And what I also want to give you is a minimum weight. We talked about this. I'm going to say min weight. And when we give it the min weight, I'm going to say something like 150 pixels. And then what we're just going to do is to, let's just run this. Okay, great. So what we can now do now is to say that for the list under this, we're going to say dot drop down menu A. When we say for the list under this, the A type, we want the color to be black. We're going to give you a padding or something like, let's say 11 pixels and 15 px. Let's give a text decoration of none because it is a link. It's going to have this underline text decoration. So let me show you text decoration is none. Once we say that, we can say display. So we can give the display value block. Now if we run this, this should show the changes. As you can see now, it's being listed this way, which is what we want. And then we get a text decoration of none. So now it's still a link, and I can still click it and it's going to take me somewhere, as you can see. But it just doesn't show that underline no more, which is what we want. So now we want to have an over. So what we want to do is to say that the drop down content right, we're going to say A. But what we want to do, instead of just saying A directly, we want to say A over. We're going to do this and say over. And then I'm going to give it a background color. we are giving this a particular background color when we over every single list on it. So I'm just going to give a background color of let's say white. Let's see how that looks like. If I run this and I come over, you can see that when I over each of it now, it turns white. So what I'm now going to do is that I want this to only show. So first of all, let me make the display of this. Let me remove that comment and make the display of this none. So now you can see that, let's wait for it, the list is not showing no more, but I want this list to show only when we over on this. So what I'm going to do is to say dot this drop down right here, which we already had from the beginning. So what I'm just going to do is to say dot drop down, and we're going to say colon. But instead of saying this, we're going to say over. And then we're going to say dot this drop button what we want to do now is to just okay, so the first thing that we actually need to do is to say the drop down over. We're going to say the drop down menu. So this whole menu, we want the display to be black, right? So we're going to say display black. Now when we run this, what we want is that when we override this should have a display of black, but this doesn't have a display of black. So the reason why this doesn't have a display of black is simply because when we come in here, we want to have this div class to be, so we have this class that has a class of drop down menu. We actually want, let's see, we want all of these to be wrapped in a div class. So let's say we cross all of these and say div, right? And then we say this is like class, and then we just say equals, let's say drop down. Now since we know we have this drop down here, we can just say from drop down dot over, that means all of these colon over, we want to show drop down menu. Now let's see what this does. So as you can see now, when we over on this, it basically shows that drop down menu. This is literally what we want to happen. Now what we can do, we can just add a little bit sauce on it and say the drop down, and when we over on it, we now want to even change the color of this drop down button to maybe something lighter. So we can then say dot the button, so the class of the button is drop down button. So we're gonna say dot the button, and we're gonna say background color, maybe something like, let's say gray. Let's try it out. Now when we run this, we can now see that we have when I over on it, the colors change to gray, and we have this basic list right here. And that is literally what we want to happen, and that is what is happening. Now we can also, as you can see, everything is basically done successfully. So we can just come in here, and under this drop down button, let's say we just want to add some styling to this drop down class. I'm going to come here and just say dot drop down, and I'm going to have it, let's say the position should be quality, and let's say the display inline. So we talked about this when we were looking into all the different display and all of that in CSS. So as you can see, everything basically works successfully right now. We can also have this list come into the the center if you want. That is optional. But as you can see, this is a basic drop down, and once we come over this, we can basically look at all of this, and we can click on it, and it takes us to a particular list. So as you can see, all of that works successfully. That was a simple drop down with CSS. Now let's look into attribute selectors in CSS. So let's get rid of all of this, and I'm also going to get rid of all of this. And let's say I have, let's see, a div class, a div element that has a class of, let's say, test, and in here we then have a div that says I. So if I then run this, we just have a basic div class that has a p that says I. That's that. So right here, let's say we want to change something to this old div class. Instead of selecting it using its element's name, we can select it using its class name. So what we can do is to come in here now, and we can just simply say div. So it's going to say any div that has an attribute in class. Then we want to change the color to red. So if I run this, you're going to see that the color of this changes to red. Now this is because we selected a div that has an attribute of class. So that is a very basic way to actually select an attribute. An element by an attribute. But let's say that you want to select with the exact value. For example, let's say I want to select the element that has a div class, that has a div element and that's an attribute, right, with a value of test. What I need to do is to say div, and then I'm going to say class equals, I'm going to write the value. So this is still going to be I, right? And it's going to have the red. This is because it's going to look like div class with a div element with a class named test. So if you come in here, you're going to see that we have a div element with a class named test. Imagine I just remove T and I say test. Now this is not going to be red anymore. It's just going to be black because that is not true for this particular condition. So that is a basic way of selecting with the value. So that's how to use attribute selector in CSS.
Now that you know the basics of HTML and CSS,
Dog's fear became my greatest teacher.
Okay.
Instant kill. Great initiation. Great play. Shut down. Our turret has been destroyed. Ally has been slain. Your team destroyed the turret. Okay. An ally has slain the turtle. Your team destroyed a turret. Shut down. Mega kill. Perfect shot. Great play. Initiate retreat. Understood.
name. Say I'll be right there. Ooh, baby, won't lose.